What is up, everybody? Welcome to the spoiler review for Dexter New Blood, Episode 8, titled Unfair Game. This is the Dexter sequel series on Showtime. I am your host, Jacob Bartley, and we are going to get into spoilers for this new episode of Dexter. I do want to thank Star Drew for viewing and leaving a comment in the comment. Yeah, I these last 2 weeks I've had a lot of flexibility on when I start the show. So depending on how my mornings go, I do like to give myself some flexibility, but it's also not for no reason. I always watch the episode Sunday night when they air, get some food, make a thing out of it. But when it comes to reviewing the show, I always rewatch it in the morning as well. First thing Monday morning, I rewatch it, I take some notes. When I'm watching it for the first time, I don't like to look at it from where I'm going to review it or talk about it. I just want to experience it as a fan. So I always watch it, rewatch it every Monday morning, take my notes, get everything ready, all that. So that's kind of why sometimes it's delayed. But actually, I'm off on next Monday too, so we'll see. But the season finale will probably be back at 10 a.m. on Monday. So we only got 2 episodes left. This is episode 8. Wow, wow, wow. We only have 2 episodes left. And I like this episode. I love what happens in this episode. I love the outcome of this episode a lot. But this isn't one of my favorite episodes, I would say, overall. But there's a lot of things that I love. So we basically have 3 major things going on, and I'm going to talk about those 3 things and kind of break them down and give my thoughts on it. So we know last week Dexter was snuck up on and grabbed by this man named Elric who works for Kurt. All right. Scary looking man. And that's kind of where we leave off. After Harrison and Dexter had this big fight, Harrison revealed that he does have some sort of dark passenger inside of him, and he runs off. Dexter goes to his car, gets kidnapped. And we spend a lot of the episode with this Elric guy chasing Dexter through the woods, which there's some really cool things within that whole storyline. We also have Kurt hanging out with Harrison, picking him up, taking him under his wing, taking him to eat, to hang out, hit some balls at the school. So we have that going on. And obviously those 2 stories kind of collide. And then we have Angela investigating Dexter in this episode, which doesn't have a lot of screen time in this episode, but it's going to be major, major, major. Now, when we saw the promos for episode 8, Unfair Game, which, first of all, let's talk about the title, Unfair Game. Unfair Game. I've kind of talked about the titles a lot throughout this episode, throughout this season, reviewing this season. And some of the titles have worked for me. Some of the titles have been okay. And some of the titles are terrible. This title, is this an unfair game? Because the only thing I can think of, because they don't, unlike some of the other titles, they don't say unfair game in the episode. They don't do a direct reference to the title in this episode, in episode 8. The only thing I can think of is how Dexter and Harrison they both use knives and weapons that you would use close up, right? Harrison uses straight razor, Dexter uses knives. And they're both at one point in this episode are confronted with men with guns, with rifles, sniper rifles. So is it an unfair game, a knife to a gunfight type of thing? I think that's what they're referencing, but I'm not sure. They never actually really address it. But yes, let's start with Elric and Harrison in the woods. Elric and Dexter in the woods. So Dexter wakes up. Oh, first of all, we got to talk about that opening sequence. Dexter's in the back of the car. He's unconscious. He's dreaming about Harrison slaughtering those other teenagers from the other school. And at first, you might think it's real, but it's actually not happening. It's happening in their cabin, and it's kind of a dream sequence, right? But we get to see what it would look like if Harrison was a ruthless murderer. And I thought that was haunting, to be honest, because that, even though Dexter, we know wants, part of him wants his son to have the dark passenger and be like him so that they can connect, he doesn't want him to become a ruthless serial killer. And he has this dream sequence of Harrison being a ruthless serial killer, slitting the dude's neck, bashing another dude in with the baseball bat, and just having blood over him and smiling. Like, that's Dexter's worst nightmare, right? So that was very insightful. One thing I do like about this episode is I told you there's 3 things going on: Elric and Dexter, Kurt and Harrison, Angela investigating Dexter. This episode fully focuses on those 3 things and doesn't have any like outside factors. One thing was weird to me, I even uploaded an image for her because I hadn't had an image for her, is Molly Park is nowhere to be found in this episode, played by Jamie Chung. I thought she was going to be a consistent character throughout the whole series. I don't think it's the last of her that we've seen. I mean, I don't think they would let it go like that. I mean, we know Angela's listening to her podcast from the promos for next week, but no Molly Park in this episode, which was very interesting. But yes, so with Elric and Dexter, really his hands are tied up, right? And he uses that. He goes around and gets in the guy's mouth and is using the ties to like pull back this guy's, and he starts cutting his jaw or his cheeks, and he has like scars up here, and Dexter's pulling like this. Wow. So first of all, I mean, smart of Dexter. Like I knew Dexter as soon as Dexter woke up. He listens to the phone call between Dude and Kirk, and then as soon as he's able to, he gets on this guy, because I said there's no way Dexter's going to allow some dude to kidnap him and try to kill him. There's no way. So Dexter gets out of it. A little unrealistic how he flies out of the car, but whatever. So now but I did like how Dexter gets up and the dude's seemingly unconscious in the car, and then Dexter looks up and the guy's getting up and getting his rifle ready, and Dexter's like, oh shit, like, what am I gonna do? And he starts running back into the forest because what can he do? And I don't think we've ever had him. We've had people pull guns on him, but I think, and he always finds a way out of it. But like handguns close to him, but we've never had somebody hunting him down with a rifle. And even though we love Dexter, we know he's very capable. Like hand-to-hand combat fight, he could pretty much take anybody on. But he can't do anything if a guy has a rifle. So he starts running and he gets shot in the leg. And when I saw the trailers for this week, I was like, oh, it's gonna be him hunting in through the snow, and I don't know if I want to spend a whole hour with that. But really, we got like 15 to 20 minutes of screen time of that, and not even continuously, just throughout the episode. And it actually was intriguing to me because I'm like, this is cool, because we always see Dexter have the upper hand, and this he doesn't, and he's trying to get out of it. So I really liked that, and I love how he tries to throw the guy off his trail, but it doesn't work, and then he finds the summer camp cabin and goes inside, and it starts to get dark outside, and I love how he says, the night is mine. And he basically hides out in the cabin, waits for the dude to come in. And once the guy's in the cabin, I don't care that he has a rifle. I knew Dexter was going to get him. And we see him break through the mirror, get on top of the guy, find out where Harrison is, and kill the dude. Must have been nice for Dexter to get another kill with a knife, right? I mean, this guy was trying to hunt him down and kill him with a rifle, so can't blame him. But Dexter finally got another kill, which we know he strives for. But this guy's obviously a bad dude, so it's not like, we're feeling bad for old Elric there. He he deserved it. He had it coming. Yeah, so that, I really enjoyed that. I thought it was cool just to see, when Dexter's in his element, when he's out in an open field with running from a rifle, he can't do anything, right? He has no chance. But when it's in a closed room or closed building and you don't know where Dexter is and it's dark, you're screwed. So I loved seeing that. So the Kurt and Harrison stuff. So he picks up Harrison. He's like, "Hey, let's go have some fun." They go into the school. Apparently Kurt still has a key and they go to like it has the pitching machine, right? So Kurt's like, "Yeah, Matt used to play. I played." And Kurt's knocking him out. And he's like, "Hey, you want to try?" And I knew Kurt had some ill intentions with this. I knew Kurt was going to do something. And they made a big deal like of making the pitching machine seem dangerous. And after Harrison knocks a couple balls, he's like, "Why not try a curveball?" And then the curveball hits Harrison in the side. And Harrison just keeps saying, "No, keep him coming, keep him coming." And we know Kurt is doing this to hurt Harrison because Harrison's dad, Dexter, killed his son. And we know by this point he's just getting revenge. But one thing we did learn in this episode is that he actually planned to kill Harrison. And I thought maybe he was going to kill Dexter, like have Dexter killed and then take kind of adopt Harrison. I thought that was his plan, but his plan was to kill Harrison in front of Dexter. So that's what this whole plan was. But that was interesting so basically he just did like 5 curveballs in a row and Harrison just stood there and took him to the ribs. And while he's doing that, he's thinking of all the times his dad pissed him off and all the stuff he's been through and all the bad stuff that has happened since he's been in Iron Lake. And it was an interesting scene. I mean, we know how much pain Dexter has felt. And if Harrison's feeling that similar pain, he would want something like that, just like purposeful abuse to himself, kind of to take away the pain. So that was pretty interesting. But yeah, that one thing that didn't make sense to me is like, obviously Kurt is purposely hitting you with the curveballs and he's just letting it happen. That didn't make sense to me, but it was all right, I guess. Then they head to the cabin to make some venison. It was interesting. In California, like in Northern California, I got some family that live up in the mountains and it's kind of like Iron Lake. It's a town called Georgetown, kind of like Iron Lake. And they always talk about venison, eating venison. And every time I go, they're like, "Hey, you want to take some venison home from the freezer?" Like a big, huge thing of venison. And venison is deer. It's deer meat. And so when they were talking about it, I was like, "Oh, it's just like up there in out small, cold towns where they hunt." Yeah, everybody eats venison and talks about it and is trying to give you some all the time. So it reminded me of that, which was pretty cool. But yeah, he takes Harrison back to the cabin. They hang out, they have some drinks. They talk about Kurt's past experiences. They talk a lot about Dexter and how disappointing of a father he is and how him and Harrison aren't connecting. And see, Kurt is like, "I would never abandon you if you were my son. Don't blame yourself. That's his fault." I really thought, knowing that his son was dead, that he was trying to steal Dexter's son from him. And maybe it was like, "Oh, I'm just going to steal him from him for a little bit and then I'm going to kill him." So they're hanging out, having some drinks. Kurt's like waiting for Elric and Dexter to show up. So Elric was supposed to deliver Dexter. After Dexter killed him, he took his phone and texted Kurt, "All good, boss, on the way." So Dexter's heading towards the cabin, and this is going on. One of the best moments in this episode, in this series. Harrison's just chilling. Kurt's like, "I'll be right back." Kurt comes out in his snow suit, his sniper suit. I really wish I had an image of it, but if you haven't looked it up, look up Kurt Caldwell sniper suit or snow suit, and it is terrifying. You know how big Clancy Brown is. So imagine you're just sitting there having a nice conversation with this guy who's been so kind to you, and then he looks up and this huge man standing there in a big white snowsuit with a sniper. And Harrison's like, "Wait, what's going on?" And he's like, he's like, I'm done waiting. He's like, get up. And he's holding the sniper at him. And Harrison's like, oh my God, what did I do? Like, I'm so sorry. And so we talked about this before, how basically when Kurt kills, he has to recreate his first kill, which is somebody scared running away and him shooting them in the back, right? So that is his routine. That's the way he likes to kill people. And if if it doesn't happen that specific way, he's not satisfied. So, and up to this point, he's only killed women, but this is very personal. Dexter killed his son, so he wants to kill Dexter's son. And the plan, I think, was for him to do it in front of Dexter. But he's not getting a response from Elric. They're taking a lot longer than he thought. So he's like, get up. And he tells Harrison to run. And he's like, and then the truck pulls up. So he thinks it's Elric driving Dexter here. But we hear the honking and the truck starts driving faster towards Kurt. Kurt starts shooting at it, realizing what's going on. He kind of jumps out of the way, but he loses his gun. And Dexter and Harrison run towards each other and they start hugging. Because now Harrison's like, oh shit, you were right. Kurt is a terrible guy. I should have listened to you, Dad. So, and that was heartwarming. Look, I'm very attached to the Dexter character and I know from the original series how much he cares about and loves his son. So to see them run and hug each other was so heartwarming, but not as heartwarming as the truck scene on the way home. So there, he's like, let's get out of here. Kurt runs off into the snow. They're like, let's just get out of here. Cause you don't know, maybe Kurt has snipers hidden in the woods and they're screwed if they stay. So I thought at first I was like, go after him, but I was like, no, he's camouflaged in his snowsuit. You guys are injured and in shock and you don't have any weapons. He probably has guns. So get out of there. It was a smart move. But on the way home, or Dexter already decided he has to tell Harrison everything. But this was an amazing moment. On the way home, Dexter tells him, look, I'm just going to tell you everything. You don't ever have to be alone. I was born in blood just like you. I had the same urges you do right now. My dad taught me how to control it. He's like, I'm going to help you. You're not alone. And Harrison just hugs him. And he's just holding him and hugging him. And the camera just moves up to Dexter's face. And he's like, this is all he wanted was honesty. And he's like, maybe this is all I ever wanted too. And we see him start to smile again and it ends. That was such, for me, someone who really cares about these characters, that was such a great moment. It really, really was. And we spent way too much time of Dexter and Harrison at odds. Way too much time. And I'm so glad to finally see them cool. At least we're going to get 2 episodes of them on good terms, talking, maybe working together in a murderous way. They got to go after Kurt, right? Like, they got to take Kurt down. That's what I'm hoping for. I want to see serial killer team up, taking out another serial killer. Let's go. I mean, Harrison's not a serial killer that we know of. I don't think he's killed anybody that we know of. So we'll see how that goes. But yes, one of the most terrifying moments was Kurt coming out with that snowsuit and just catching Harrison off guard. That was so cool. And then love that moment between Harrison and Dexter in the truck. That was awesome. Now, kind of in the background of this episode, but maybe the most important thing going on, I knew Harrison or Dexter wasn't going to die right in this episode, right? So knowing that, I mean, it could have happened, but we have 2 episodes left. I didn't think there was any way that was going to happen. So this going on in the background is huge. So last episode, Molly tips off Angela saying, hey, it was kind of weird how Dexter followed me to the cabin. And yeah, I appreciate he helped me with Kurt. I mean, I hope at least she was thinking that because Dexter saved her life. But I guess Molly doesn't care. She's like, I'm still here to solve all the mysteries, even if somebody saves my life. But she basically puts it in Angela's head that, hey, that Jim Lindsay guy, Dexter, he's not all like There's something up with him. And of course, Angela already knows there's something up with him because she figured out that he's Dexter. But like I said before, just because she figured out he's Dexter doesn't mean that he's made out to be the Bay Harbor Butcher or made out to be a serial killer. He's just a guy who faked his death and is living under a different identity. But now she starts digging deeper. She goes, and first of all, Logan, the cop that works at the police station with Angela, what a little snitch. He went and told Angela about Dexter beating up the drug dealer, but I think he has intentions. I think him and Angela used to date, and he's trying to get back with her, and he's trying to, screw over Jim. Honestly, I think that's what his ultimate goal is. But anyways, yeah, I think Logan's a good character, but as far as rooting for characters, I liked Logan up until this point. He's snitched on Dexter, so he's he's not cool in my book. But anyways, Angela finds the drug dealer who Dexter attacked, who he was gonna kill, but realized it's not really this guy's fault. It's more of the supplier is the bigger problem. But before Dexter beats this guy up, he hit him with one of his needles. And for those of you who don't know, Dexter, his classic move is using like horse tranquilizer, and I think the actual ingredient is ketamine, the things that just knock someone out right away. And his go-to move, needle to the neck, you're out for hours, and that's when he wraps people up. But so he did it to this drug dealer who's alive still, and Angela went and talked to him. He's like, yeah, he stuck me in the neck with the needle. Look. And then the next episode, Dexter excuse me, Dexter finds a supplier, needles him in the neck, and then gives him an overdose on purpose. So she goes to see this body of the dead supplier. And what do you know? A needle in the neck. Okay, that's weird. So then she starts doing her research, searches up ketamine, Miami, Miami homicide, and finds that the Bay Harbor Butcher used ketamine on his victims. And I believe that's the connection there. And wow. So she's basically, I I had this I had a feeling she'd find out he's Dexter at some point. But I did not think that she's gonna find out he's the Bay Harbor Butcher. That's crazy. If she tells Molly that she thinks Dexter's the Bay Harbor Butcher, Molly's gonna figure it out too. That it's going down. Like Dexter's gonna get caught. And I don't know if look, there might be a situation coming where she figures out he's the Bay Harbor Butcher, realizes that he only killed bad people. And look, Kurt got away. The guy who she suspects killed her best friend got away, slipped through the cracks, just like Dexter's dad Harry told him, we got to take out those killers who slipped through the cracks and get away with it. That's what Kurt essentially is right now. If she's not able to find more evidence on Kurt or get him locked up, prove that he's guilty, what is she going to do? She might realize Dexter Morgan is the Bay Harbor Butcher and say, I want you to kill Kurt. And then she allows him to gives him, hey, you kill Kurt for me, we're good. I'm not going to turn you in. I'm not going to arrest you. That's a possibility. But I don't know. Is Angela willing to compromise her integrity as a cop to do that, to take out Kurt? I think that's where it's headed. Either she is going to expose Dexter and she's going to show us, or she's going to expose him and he's going to get caught and he's going to have to deal with that. And I think if that happens, I think maybe Dexter and Harrison go on the run. Because I think at this point, once Dexter opens up to Harrison, Harrison's going to be there for him no matter what. And I think it's going to be ride or die, daddy and son, Like, I think Harrison's going to have his back completely once Dexter completely opens up. So if that happens, maybe they skip town and go find a new city, and season 2 is them on the run in this new town or whatever the case is. That could be cool. Or he gets caught and he actually gets arrested, and maybe it ends with Dexter locked up and we don't know what's going to happen. Or maybe it ends with Dexter dying and him getting the death sentence. Or, like I said, Angela is like, I'm tired. Kurt got away. I'm not cool with this. I need Kurt dead. I need Kurt taken care of. I'm going to use the Bay Harbor Butcher. I'm going to blackmail him and say, look, if you don't do this for me, I'm going to expose you. And look, Dexter wants to take out Kurt anyway, so it would work. And then he wouldn't have the police chief on it, like investigating Kurt's missing, because she would be in on it. So there's a lot of possibilities here. I'm very, very curious to see. Stardew, I saw you mentioned, was it inner voice Harrison or someone else? So they haven't confirmed whether Harrison has an inner voice or not. I had speculated that because Dexter had his dad Harry, and then now he has his sister Deb as his inner voice that he talks to in his head. I speculated that Harrison also has an inner voice, and I thought maybe it could be Trinity, because he said he remembers Trinity. He saw his face, and we saw those flashbacks, and he remembers him talking. So it could be something there where Trinity could be his inner voice. But the only problem with that is the inner voice is just the person and their subconscious. So everything Dexter's dad and Deb, like, their knowledge was only to the extent of what Dexter's knowledge is. So anything they would say is stuff that he would imagine them saying. So if Trinity was Harrison's inner voice, then he doesn't have enough knowledge on Trinity for the Trinity to be talking to him all the time in his head. But it could be stuff like that he would imagine he would say, or maybe he can just do more research on him and figure out as much information as possible. And then he can be like, yeah, when I used to bury kids alive, this is blah, blah, blah. Like, there could be a way around that, but I'm not so sure if Harrison's going to have an inner voice. Maybe. I think at some point, yes. I mean, if they do something crazy like kill Dexter, I mean, Dexter would for sure be his inner voice, right? I mean, they would have to do that, which I don't want them to kill Dexter, but it's always a possibility. If not this season, maybe in the future. So we'll see. But yes, pretty good episode. Amazing moments, probably some of the best moments in the entire series, but really solid episode. Not my favorite quite. I think episode 6 might be my favorite, but there's been a lot of good ones. A lot of good ones. And it's funny, I spoke to some people over the holidays about, like, some family members who used to watch Dexter, and they said they weren't a fan of this series so far. So I'm curious, like, what the casual viewer thinks about Dexter, because a lot of people I talk to, they're not loving it. But I mean, I love the character too much, like, to not finish the series or something like that. They, like, stopped watching. But I don't know. I thought it's been really good, honestly. Like, and I don't think I'm being biased. Like, I think it's been done really well. I mean, I have some problems for sure. It's not perfect, and I wouldn't even say it's amazing or great. It's really good. But I'm curious. Have you guys, any viewers out there, have you guys gotten a feel of what other people think about the show, or are you not happy with the show? I'm curious to hear your opinions on that and why. Yeah, but we'll see. We'll see how it goes. But that's going to do it for this episode of Talking Dex. Thank you all for joining me. This was our spoiler review for Dexter New Blood Episode 8, Unfair Game. And yeah, I forgot to say, this is Talking Dex with Jacob Bartley. If you're a Dexter fan, subscribe to this YouTube channel. I am going to cover all things Dexter going forward on this YouTube channel, on this little show I do, Talking Dex. And I mean everything. I want to talk about, I'm going to do a rundown of all seasons 1 through 8. I want to do a rundown of all 8 novels as well, and kind of talk about the connections and what's different, what's similar to the novels and the series, because they are very, very different other than season 1. So that'll be fun stuff to talk about. But for now, we're talking Dexter New Blood. So come back next week. We'll be talking episode 9. Until then, take care.